everyone, welcome back to English with Yakshi. And today we are going to focus on the speaking part 2 of the IELTS examination. So we are going to understand that how should you prepare for the cue card, because this can be a challenging task if you're just a beginner or if you're preparing for the IELTS examination. So let's get started. Now, before we dig deeper into part 2, I'll give you a basic overview of part 1, that how your test begins. So, first of all, the examiner is going to ask you your full name and how they can address you. Then, quickly, they'll check your ID and return it back to you. Then, they'll get started with the part 1, where the questions are going to be about you, your family, your city, hobbies, and so on. So these are based on your life and questions related to your work, study, and preferences. Here you have to answer in 2 to 3 sentences, not more than that. And once the part 1 is done, the duration of part 1 is around 4 to 5 minutes. As soon as the examiner is done with part 1, they'll move to the part 2. So part 2 is where you are going to get a cue card and you have to speak on that cue card for 2 minutes. I know it can be challenging to speak on any random topic on the spot for 2 minutes. But the silver lining is that you're going to get a minute to prepare. Now that's what we are going to discuss today. That how should you utilize that 1 minute? So let's get started. Now, your step 1 should be understand the question. So, begin by carefully reading the cue card question in the first 10 seconds. Just read your cue card question, read the pointers which are given to you. Then, focus on every part of the prompt because you need to cover these points. Make sure that you understand the topic and what is being asked of you. Sometimes, what students do, they read the cue card in a rush and then they just prepare and start speaking. But if you deviate from the question, it is going to lead to a deduction. So make sure that even if you spend 10 seconds to read the question and get a better understanding, do so. So this is how you're going to get your question, the cue card. So first of all, you have the main topic. So here it's to describe a time where you helped someone. And then you have the pointers which you have to cover in your cue card. Who you helped, how you helped them, why they needed help, and how they felt afterwards. So make sure that you address each of these pointers in your response. If you miss out on any one of them, you are going to face a deduction. So make sure that these 4 pointers are always there and you don't deviate from the question. Now the second step should be to plan your main idea in the first 30 seconds. Now utilize the first 30 seconds basically to understand what you're going to speak. What is going to be the idea on which you're going to build. You can quickly write it in your notes. You are going to be provided with a pen and paper specifically in part 2 so that you can make some notes. So jot down your main idea, write it down so that there's no confusion at all. And focus on a clear narrative to ensure you address all points. So the best way to do this is to write 2 to 3 keywords for each of the pointers. That's the quickest way to get a clear idea that what you're going to describe in the part 2. For instance, let's pick up the same question that you have to describe a time you helped someone. So, who you helped. Write the name of the person over here in your notes. How you helped them. Write 2 to 3 keywords. You reached out to them, they had to go somewhere, you drove them. So, write these down. Why they needed help. So, here you have to explain the situation, that what exactly helped, why they were in that situation, why they needed help in the first place. And even if you feel that you want to start with the why first and then the how, so you can reverse the order. It's totally okay to follow your instinct and reorder the pointers. It's totally okay. So you should do that if you feel that's better for your structure. and lastly, how they felt afterwards. So, what were their emotions, what were their feelings? Write 2 to 3 keywords for that. So this is something which you should do in the very first 30 seconds of your of your preparation, so that you understand what's your main idea and you do not deviate from it. And the best part is that when you have your notes, even if you feel confused in between, take a quick glance at your notes and then again make eye contact with the examiner. So, some students make a mistake and they do not make notes. They feel I'll just think about it in my mind and then I'll start speaking. But if you make notes, you'll have a frame of reference. If you fumble or if you feel stuck, if you don't know what to say next, you can take a quick glance at your notes and then you know that what you can pick. I can pick the next point, right? So, notes are really important. Now, coming to the later part of your preparation, the later part of your 1 minute which you have with you. So, in the remaining 30 seconds, build your keywords, build your vocabulary which you can add. So, what should you note down? Include any important vocabulary word which comes in your mind. Sometimes, let's say that there's a word important, but you can use some other synonyms such as crucial, pivotal, integral. So, note down the vocabulary words which you think you can utilize in your part 2. Then, write any connectors. For example, furthermore, in addition, also, therefore. Try to use these connectors and jot it down in your notes, because if you have it in your notes, there's 100% chance you will use them in your speaking part 2. Then plan your answers structure. I know it's a lot to plan in a minute, but maybe in the last 10 seconds, just think about how am I going to start my answer. So, this will help you to give a good introduction, which is always a great way to start your part 2. And then you can build on the pointers and discuss your answer. And even an important point which you should make a note of, if you think about an idiom which you can add, do note it down in your notes. So let's discuss some more tips for part 2. So practice managing your 1 minute preparation. So always practice with a timer. Keep a timer in front of you for the 1 minute where you have to prepare, and even keep a timer of 2 minutes once you start speaking your answer, so that you know how long 2 minutes are. Sometimes you might have to adjust your pace in order to complete all the pointers, in order to include everything in your answer. So always time yourself. Then focus on fluency, not perfection. Sometimes a lot of students are rethinking what to say next in their head because they want their answers to be perfect. But remember that we are on a clock. The examiner is noting your time. The examiner is going to stop you right after 2 minutes are done. So make sure that you're fluent. So learn the skills of being fluent, being conversational, rather than giving the most perfect answers. I think this is one of the most important skills which is required in the speaking section. And that reminds me that we are going to come up with a short course soon, which is solely going to be focused on skills, not on the module, the instructions, or all the things that we generally know about. So I'll keep you posted for that. The next one is make sure to address all the 4 pointers in your response. And I know it's a lot to ask, but stay calm, stay confident, and remember it's all about delivering a well structured response. Even if you make a silly grammatical error, it's okay to self correct yourself, no problem. But stay calm and composed, because that's the best way you can tackle the speaking module. So that's it. I know it was a short one, but I hope you liked it and you got something valuable out of it. So, as a new channel, I would really appreciate if you could give a thumbs up or give a comment or subscribe. So, if you have any doubts, drop them in the comments and I'll get to it. Thank you.